Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm here with my lovely co-host.
I'm Kiki and my pronouns are also she, her. Hello, everyone.
And today we want to talk about, I think, very interesting topic about an artist who does everything on her own. And therefore, we have a very cool guest here. Welcome to the podcast, Vanessa. Please introduce yourself
Hello.
for our listeners.
I am VANESSA FUNKE, pronouns she, her, and I do everything myself, as already mentioned, from production, recording, to writing the songs, lyrics, everything, playing all instruments, completely DIY from my bedroom.
Billie Eilish style.
That's awesome. Which instruments can you play?
And well, several stringed instruments. Guitar, obviously, I started out with the guitar back in the day. I play bass, mandolin, and all sorts of keyboard instruments. Well, I mainly have one keyboard where I play everything on. So I wouldn't say I can play piano really well because it's a different feeling and everything. But yeah, I know the basics. Can play drums a little bit, but I don't have room for it at home. So yeah, those are played on my keyboard as well.
Yes, the new technologies can do that pretty well.
Yeah.
When did you start playing instruments?
I guess that was back in 2008. Interestingly enough, I started out with playing trombone. I can't do that anymore. Completely forgot how to do that 2 or 3 years, and then I started picking up guitar and made that my main instrument. I really got more serious about this 2011, 2012. And yeah, from then on, I really taught most of the stuff myself. Didn't have a teacher really. I really don't know anything about theory or something like that. I guess some people would say that what I do is weird if they see me playing and everything. But basically, we could say started to get better at maybe 2012 from then on.
But I think that's the case for many, many, many musicians, that they don't really have a clue about music theory.
Oh, absolutely.
Kiki, I think you studied something in that direction.
Oh, yeah. I studied musicology, but I also, I can't say that I'm good at music theory. I know the basics. And yeah, I got the degree anyway. That was good. Yeah.
In the end, it's everything about the music. So how would you describe your music?
It depends on what project we are looking at. If we look at my main project, which just runs under my normal name because I was too uncreative to find a pseudonym or something else, I would say it's mainly melodic death metal with several inspirations from black metal as well. It is mostly a mixture of both, but definitely leaning more into the melodic death metal. That is because that was the first more extreme type of metal that I listened to, and I really got into heavier music, you could say. Really important for me, maybe the most important thing about my music is the melodies, the atmosphere. That it should have a certain melancholy to it, not always the very heavy stuff.
Yes, I can relate to that. I started with power metal actually, and then I got really quickly into melodic death metal through Nightwish and then Children of Bodom and all the Finnish bands.
Yeah, my main influence is Insomnium. So yeah, the Finnish bands are really important for me as well.
There are also many who are very atmospheric. So like also your music, and I also listened to your new album Void that came out in spring this year. And you are also doing the clean vocals and also the growls yourself, right? So everything is
indeed
made by yourself.
Yes, except for when I got some guest musicians. On that album particularly, I've got 2 guests who are also brothers, which is interesting. There's a flugelhorn solo, which I obviously couldn't play myself. On the last song on the album, a very good friend of mine takes over the lead vocals.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your songwriting process? Where do you get, well, apart from the Insomnium influence, where do you get your inspiration from, and how do you start to write your songs? You were just saying you play so many things, but also you have been self-taught. What is your main go-to? What instrument or how does it start?
It usually starts on guitar, sometimes on keyboards, but mostly on guitar, with just playing around. And I find a melody line that I like, and then I start just recording. I don't write the things down, which sometimes leads into problems. For example, when my software crashes and I have to do everything from scratch again, then I don't know what I did. I usually start recording directly and build everything from that. That's one of the good things about modern technology. You can record a piece, like a melody, a rhythm, whatever, and just move it around, rearrange it and everything. So after maybe a day or something, a new song is then finally there. I usually start with music. Lyrics follow later. I wouldn't consider myself a good lyricist. I am really not good choosing the right words. I cannot rhyme. Everything like that. But yeah, this follows afterwards, and then vocals come last, usually. I don't usually have a concept behind what I'm doing. Maybe there's a song that has influenced me, and I think, yeah, I want this sound. I want to do something in that similar style. But that is normally not the case. So I just start out recording things, and sometimes I'm just sitting there thinking, does this even work? How does it sound? And I have a lot of things, a lot of ideas that I have scrapped because they led nowhere. And yeah, at one point I don't know. I just give up. I don't know.
But I think that's also one of the advantages of doing everything on your own, right? On this point of our talk, I want to mention that there will be video from our friend Metal Abstract Cora on her YouTube channel where she will introduce you and your music in even more detail. So let's maybe talk about what actually is the advantage of doing everything on your own and what might be the disadvantages. So what you just said sounds to me like the fact that you don't really have a structure could be a problem when you're working together with others. So I would say in your case that is a big advantage, right? That you can just go with your own flow and do the things whenever you have the time and the feeling when creativity kind of hits you.
That's absolutely true. Obviously, with such a, maybe you could call it, chaotic style of songwriting, I have the advantage to do everything at a pace that I want. And I don't have to spend money on studio time or anything that in the end would be completely wasted if I just grab everything. So that is certainly a point. And yeah, that's also a very big thing, because if you think about renting a studio, going into the studio, or renting producer, like you are actually buying a service, and you have to pay for it. And I don't have the money to do so, so I wouldn't even have another choice than do it myself, because I'm not exactly rich. And so for people on a budget, it is really good that you can do so many things at home nowadays. And all you need is basically just a little interface like I have. And another thing that is really big advantage is there are no deadlines except the ones you set for yourself. So there's no pressure behind everything. I can do everything at a pace that is comfortable for me, when I got the time, when I'm feeling creative, and everything like that.
But do you sometimes miss the exchange of ideas and everything that comes when you have another musician or a whole band?
So when I'm thinking about the time when I was playing in a band 6 years ago, of course it is a really fun thing to do. Meeting with the others in a rehearsal room, doing everything. Well, the songwriting process, usually everyone did that on their own, but in the end it all came together. It's also a very wonderful feeling, sometimes a magical feeling. You really see how those ideas really work together and everything. But I also remember that sometimes this could lead into trouble because, different people have different opinions on how things sound, obviously. Different people have different ideas that sometimes don't really work together. This can lead to conflicts and everything. With what I am doing, most of the stuff that I do just comes out of the moment, something that I feel in that moment when I record it. Pretty happy that nobody is going and saying, no, we can't use that idea, that sounds off, because maybe I want it to sound like that or something. I can keep everything like I feel it, and nobody is arguing with that.
That also leads to more releases. I could imagine. You also mentioned you have several projects, and when there is no one, quote unquote, stopping you with your idea, you can work much faster than if you would have to agree with everyone on how should we do it in this song and so on. And we had a talk also before, and also Kiki will record on that day now where we are recording another episode with a friend of ours who just joined a band. And we had this also a lot, that you need to find people who kind of match your energy when you want to form a band with them, right, Kiki?
Yeah. Or similar goals, and so that everyone is pulling in the right direction, but also to fit with each other's characters to make the teamwork easier, and also to have the same ambitions and motivations. So it's not super easy. And besides that, it's also wanting to make the same kind of music. The conflict that Vanessa you were describing can get a lot worse if someone comes with, I don't know, ideas from, say, jazz. This may or may not be a real story. And the rest of us are like, that does not really fit our sound. But yeah, in the end, we're all humans, and we have to nurture these relationships to make them work. I've always have found it like it's having like being in sort of a weird romantic relationship with a lot of people, because our egos can get in the way a lot as well. And it can be really difficult to accept constructive criticism. And it also can be a challenge to express it, to not get personal when you say, I don't really like the idea that you're bringing in. And I also think it's important to, whenever you're saying you don't like an idea, how can you make it better? Or can you like point out specific things that you don't like, so that the other person can work on that, rework that idea so that it fits the sound or the band better? Or the next time they bring something new, it can already be something that will have better reception. I totally agree. I like that you use the word magical, because collaboration can be that, when you can build on someone else's input and make it a shared creation. It can be really magical. And when then a listener can also connect with that and appreciate it, it's just so beautiful. But that also happens with your solo music as well. How has the feedback been? Do you also get inspired by that kind of exchange, Vanessa, with how people react to your music?
There wasn't really a lot of feedback. There are obviously people that say, yeah, I like what you're doing, this is great. But it's not like that I get a lot of feedback. Not really. The what I actually trying to do is maybe repeat the things that I for myself think that work the best, of course, which most of the time doesn't work because I always end up going somewhere different with influences and styles and everything. There are a few songs where people told me, yeah, this song, this is really, I feel it. I feel it so, it really helped me through difficult times. I can't believe it to this day that the song song of mine could lead to that, but yeah.
That must also be an incredible feeling when you know that the song is 100% you.
Absolutely. Because most of the stuff that I do, I'd say it comes from my heart in a way. I know that sounds quite cheesy, but yeah, that is that. And it's a great feeling to hear, yeah, other people are maybe feeling the same with that. It really reaches them in a way. So it's really cool. And still unbelievable that this even could have happened. When I uploaded my first songs, it was in February 22. I put 4 instrumental demos onto Bandcamp. I simply did not expect that this could have ever happened after that.
Of course, you're an underground act, but you have a lot of followers already on the streaming platforms as well. And I would like to ask you also about the releasing process of your music. But before that, you just said that it's quite easy to start on your own because now the technology is there that you can have
Right.
a studio at home and everything. So maybe can you give a hint or kind of a setup tutorial or something like that for those who think they would love to start but don't know how?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, you want to know where you're going, what kind of music you're making. If you want to make some guitar-based music like metal, then you might need a guitar. There are also plugins that emulate guitars, but I don't think that's the same. But anyway, some people use them. What you need is an interface. I got mine used. It was very cheap. So you don't need very, very, very expensive things. Headphones, maybe a microphone. I would even say some people record their vocals with headphones, with a headset, because they don't have the money to buy a really good microphone or anything. But nowadays you get microphones that are good quality. You get them really cheap. Mine was about 100 euros. That's not that much. And it works fine. Then, of course, you need something to record it into. A DAW, which is, a digital audio workstation. And I use Ableton. I've been using this since 2012. So I won't change that. Although it's mainly marketed to electronic musicians, but it works fine with other stuff as well. There are different ones. Some are expensive, others you get even for free and can use them. So it's really not that hard to get started. And then just try out. It's just basically trial and error to find out how everything works. Even to this day, it's still trial and error for me. So, yeah.
That's the important thing, to just keep learning and to be open to the process and not thinking, oh, I learned that now and now it's done, because technology also changes so fast.
That's right.
So how do you actually release your music? I think the easier way is to put it on SoundCloud, but how does the whole process with Spotify work? And do you also have physical releases?
He started out by putting it on Bandcamp, because that was really an easy way to get it out. People can buy music there in digital form. If you have physical merchandise like CDs or anything, you can put that up for sale as well. But it just started out like that. And I found a service. There are several of these that put your music onto streaming services. I pay them once a year, so they keep the stuff up on stores. And yeah, basically they do all the work to put it everywhere. So I don't have to deal with that. I just upload it to their site and they distribute it. We call Artist Files, the German distributor. I don't have any CDs right now. Tape is making a comeback, actually, and there's a small label from the US. They signed me, which is pretty cool. They have this idea that everyone who releases the music on their label keeps the rights to themselves. So I'm not selling my soul just to get my music out there, which is really cool. And they put out some tapes of my stuff, which are still available. Also in Europe, we have a European distributor from Sweden, and so shipping is cheaper then.
That is so cool. I really like the idea of cassette tapes coming back, and I thought it was something that was only happening in the punk and hardcore scene, so it's really good to see that you're doing that too. Do you have a cassette player at home?
I do. I even have a Walkman, so I could take him on a walk, for example. Yeah, it's really happening, especially in the black metal scene right now in the US. Especially, a lot of releases get released on tape again, as with LPs. Even CDs are coming back. They're selling more again, so why not tapes too?
So how about this whole thing? I think what you just said, the label is pretty cool, that you keep all the legal stuff by yourself, that you don't have to sell your music kind of to them. How about promotion, or of course also all the social media work and everything that belongs to that? Is that something you do a lot, or is that something where you think about, well, I could work with an agency here, or how's that side of the business for you?
Well, I really suck at promoting my stuff. It's really bad. The only thing I do from time to time is post some links to my Bandcamp store and to Instagram stories. I am really not good at doing things like this. I know that my label actually hired someone to take over these things to get more reach, and they actually sent out a press kit when my last album was released. So that was pretty cool. So I didn't have to deal with that. And I also sent it to some people to review it, which really helped to get the album heard. This really was the first album where I really noticed a big increase of listeners on streaming services, on Bandcamp, where people are going to read that and think, yeah, I'm going to listen into this.
And that is why people out there, reviews still matter.
Absolutely. It's really important. It also shows that these things still work. I'm really happy that people are doing this for me. Yeah.
So a little help here and there is not bad sometimes.
Absolutely.
Even though you're doing the huge amount of work on your own. So how would you sum that up? Which are for you the most important things that are good on working on yourself, and which are the parts where you think, well, it would be cool to have someone else with me in this project? Or is it something that you never think at all?
One big disadvantage, I am not able to perform it live because I can't obviously play everything myself on stage. In the studio, it's very easy. Play one track after another, just build everything up. That works, but obviously live this doesn't work. I wish I could do concerts at one point. There's the struggle again to find people that actually enjoy the music so much they were willing to participate in that in performing it. This is obviously not that I want to form a band with this, where again external influences come in and everything. It's just about performing. And I guess that's the hardest point, because obviously when people want to join someone, form a band or something, they expect to participate in songwriting, exchanging ideas. So I guess that's the thing that is maybe not going to happen. What I'm missing is some sort of quality control, because obviously I record everything. I think, yeah, this is somewhat okay what I'm doing. I'm not saying that I really enjoy everything that I record myself. I'm maybe my biggest critic. So I can't objectively say if something is okay or not in terms of songwriting or mixing and mastering and everything, this whole process. And sometimes I just wish there was some quality control, not in a way, yeah, this doesn't sound good, yeah, this is all right. I would wish for some constructive criticism there that I don't really often get. There are a few people that I can ask, but these are really some disadvantages. But most of the time, I feel this is just the best way of working for me. I like to be alone sometimes, really thinking about what I'm doing, really that I'm sinking into the music. So if no one is there to disturb me or anything, that's sometimes the best way for me to really get the things done.
That's also very important in general. I just read or watched a video from the band Cemetery Skyline where they talked about the concept of their band, and that's a band from Sweden. And they said part of our concept is the beauty that you have in self-chosen loneliness. Of course, they talk about the lifestyle that you also chose to maybe live on your own in your own apartment and only socialize when you really need it. But you can find that in many, many aspects, also in work life and also in what you just were describing, that there is also a kind of beauty in being with yourself. And I also sometimes enjoy just being with myself for an evening and just doing the stuff that I want, or just do nothing, or just listen to music or whatever. So it can be cool too. Yeah, when you really are alone with yourself, then you have another, maybe also creativity or another energy. That's how I would describe it.
People always talk about having quality time for yourself. And for me, that is certainly this creative process when making music. I just can let out some feelings that I have inside that otherwise I wouldn't even have been able to let out in a way. Of course, music is sometimes a vent for, when I'm not feeling well or something like that. It's really, this emotional aspect in it, and a really important thing for me. And as I already said, it all comes directly from my heart and soul, maybe. So that's really, really one of those things that are only possible in this extreme form, I could say, when working on my own. Really working on the stuff myself really gives me this feeling of, this is really for me, this is my feelings in that.
That's really beautiful also that you say it all comes from your heart and it's your personality in there. So I have one final question. I don't know if Kiki has another question, but my final question would be, if you would bring your music to stage, which instrument would you play?
I think I would, maybe do rhythm guitar and obviously vocals. If my voice is at one point working good enough again, I'm a bit struggling for some time now, but yeah, that I would probably do rhythm guitar because I think I could coordinate that the best together. And since my music has some instrumental passages in it, if I would only do vocals, I would be standing at the side of the stage just watching, and I mean, I want to do something then, so I guess this combination that would really work.
I was just about to say, in my what I wanted to ask is very much in line with it. We see looping a lot in the singer-songwriter scene or genre. Wouldn't that be an idea? You on stage with a looper playing everything at once and creating the music live. You know, of course, it's a longer process. It's not like you don't go on stage and play your set. You go on stage to build the song that you have already done before in a live setting.
The idea behind this is obviously a good idea. The only problem that I have is that if you're working with a looper, the song structure has to be pretty simple, following the basic chords and everything all the time. If there is suddenly a part that is completely different, then obviously I have to break everything down and build up everything new from scratch. And I think certain songs that I would love to play live wouldn't work again in that kind of manner. That's maybe the biggest obstacle I would have then. Obviously, other people are playing with backing tracks. That's another choice.
Yes. But that, I could imagine it would feel weird to stand on stage alone with a backing track. It will work, of course, but still, I don't know.
Another thing I just recently heard about was Against the Current. The singer Chrissy Constanza is putting out a solo album now. And the band with whom she is writing the music, they're going on tour together. So they are also her session musicians or her live musicians, kind of. And they're going on tour together. And instead of having the two acts play one after the other, they're merging their sets and doing one big show of it. And the singers swap out for every song. So maybe that could be also an idea. You partnering up with a band that likes your music, that would like to collaborate with you, of course. And your songs come on in between their set as well. And, you know, you come on stage to play your instruments or do the vocals as well. Like you share the whole show and get to perform your music while they also get an included support act, kind of.
That would actually be a good idea. I do have to think about that, really. Yeah,
perfect.
Really.
Is there anything else that you want to add about your project or about doing everything on your own or anything else that is on your mind?
Yes, maybe for people who want to start out. While obviously you always get surrounded by productions that sound really, really, really pristine, very, very, very great, big produced songs everywhere. Everybody has to start out at one point. My production techniques are somewhat stuck in the 90s, I guess, from this, at least sound-wise. So I think people, when starting out to do music on their own, everything on their own, they shouldn't pressure themselves too much. Because that's what I did for a long time.
Yeah, that's a good advice. So, Vanessa, thank you so much for being our guest here on the Bleeding Metal podcast and for giving us an inside view on how you are working as a solo artist, or not even a solo artist, but also self-produced and everything. I hope listeners out there, you get some inspiration from this as well. Don't forget to check out the music. Vanessa Funke is the artist name that you have to look out for. And Kiki, thank you for also being in this episode. People, check out our Instagram or social media, follow the podcast on your favorite podcatcher, and hear you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.